We have conflicts with people in that they maybe don't get the job right, and then all of a sudden we start having some problems. So I'd like to talk a little bit about conflicts for just a minute. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about 5 levels of conflict. There's 5 levels of conflict. So think about some of the problems that you might have with some of your employees or some of the people, some of your staff or some of your team members at work, and think about where do some of the problems that you're having, where do those conflicts fit in. So the first thing I want to talk about is the first level of conflict, which is what's called an informational conflict. Let me see if I can give you an example. Okay, Paul and Karen, do you work together? Okay, so Paul and Karen work together. Paul calls Karen up and says, Karen, would you like to come out to lunch? Karen says, you know, Paul, I'd love to come for lunch, but the problem is I have a meeting at 1:15, so if we have lunch together, it has to be really fast. Paul says, great, let's go to McDonald's. They agree to go to McDonald's. They're going to meet there at noon. Paul goes to McDonald's. He's waiting there. He's checking his watch. He's wondering where Karen is. He's getting a little upset because he didn't want to go for fast food. He wanted to have a nice lunch, but he did it for her, and she doesn't show up. He finally buys his lunch and goes back to work. Karen's sitting at McDonald's getting really upset because she definitely didn't want to go to lunch, but you know, she did it because Paul is sort of a friend of hers, and then she knew they had something to discuss. She buys her lunch. She goes back. They're both burning. They're both mad at each other. Why didn't you show up at McDonald's? A little later on in the day, they bump into each other in the hallway, and they're each like, what? Where were you? And then they both start laughing, because what happened? Well, think about McDonald's. There's lots of them. Yeah, they went to different McDonald's. They assumed. They assumed. Okay, I should have used Starbucks here in the city, right, as an example. But yeah, there are lots of different McDonald's, and they just assume, Karen assumed the McDonald's 3 blocks in one direction, and Paul assumed the one in 3 blocks in the other direction, both equidistant from their office. So an informational conflict is something that is just, we assume sometimes. So now, what can we do with conflicts? When we have a conflict with somebody, what do we do with conflict? Talk about it. And why are we talking about it? To resolve it, So we can resolve a conflict. What else can we do with conflict? We can procrastinate, yeah, we can ignore it altogether. Well, how about manage it? Because some conflicts there are no solutions to some conflicts. Would everybody agree that some conflicts there are no solutions? What was that, Chef? Compromise, collaborate, yeah, but sometimes, no matter how much you compromise or collaborate, sometimes we can't come up with a solution. Yes, Rose?
Usually when you have 2 conflicts and they kind of like, you have the management and you have 2 staff and they're talking about different things. One person didn't understand what the other person thought, whatever, and usually they misunderstood each other.
Miscommunication causes conflicts, yeah. All right, let's talk about this informational conflict. Is this easily solvable? Is this a conflict that we can solve when Karen and Paul saw each other and stuff? Were they able to resolve that conflict? So it was a resolvable conflict, you would agree, right? Let's try another conflict, level 2 conflict, which is a methodology conflict. Okay, and a methodology conflict, I keep picking on you guys, you're sitting right in front of me. But Jean and Lev, they both work in the same business. Jean is the advertising manager. Lev is the sales manager. Sales are down in the company, and they have been given the task of bringing the sales up. So Jean, as the advertising manager, wants to do more advertising because that's what he does. And that's what he knows that brings in business. Lev, on the other hand, is the sales manager. What he wants to do is he wants to lower the prices so more people will buy. They both want the same thing. They want the company to do better. They want to bring up sales, but they have 2 different methods. So now think about that conflict. Is that something that is solvable and resolvable, or is that something that has to be managed? Managed. How many people think managed? How many people think solvable? How many people don't answer at all? Okay. We cannot really solve this. We have to manage it. We manage it sometimes with collaboration, with compromise, but each one of them has their own important ways that they truly believe that those ways will bring business to the company. So yes, they will work together, but it's always going to be a conflict because one wants one thing, one method, and one wants another. So see, there are conflicts that cannot be solved.
That's my lower price.
Yeah, but it's manageable, it's not solvable, okay? Let's go to conflict number 3. Let's try the third level of conflict. And that's priorities. I'm going to really simplify this so you can understand the priorities on this one. Okay, Warner and Lewis, they work together. They share a copy machine at work. Lorna's been working on a big project, and she's been copying this project for 1 hour, and she has to get this ready. She's got another hour worth of copying to bring it into this meeting. Lewis has one piece of paper that needs to be copied that the boss needs right now. Now let's make it interesting. The interrupt button is broken. So if she interrupts her job, she throws it all off, and it's going to take her even more time. Is that manageable, or is it solvable? How many people think solvable? Okay, how many people think only manageable? Okay, everybody thinks it's solvable. Yeah, I hope you'll get up, take a walk over to Kinko's, Lewis, and make the copy. Or maybe somebody else has a copy machine. That's a solvable conflict. It's a priority conflict, but it is solvable. And that one was very simplified, but you get an idea. Now let's go to the next level of conflict, and that is a goals conflict. Who heads a team? Anybody have a team here? Okay. All right, Paul, can we pick on you here for a minute? A little bit only, okay. Paul manages a team. So you're very proud of what you do, and of course what the team does reflects on you. Okay. So now Paul has lots of great people on his team, and they're willing to go out of their way to go the extra mile to get things done, even if it means working an extra 15 minutes overtime or even an extra hour or something. But he's got one person on his team who works specifically for a paycheck and nothing else. We've been there, right? You're all laughing. Yeah. So Paul's goal is to, obviously, to bring home that paycheck also, but to be proud of his work, to be noticed. He wants to be respected. He wants his team to be admired. And then he's got this one person who's doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing and nothing more. And you can't fire that person. There's nothing that person is doing wrong. But according to Paul's goals of being proud of his work and wanting to be, boy, that guy or that woman on the team who works just for the paycheck doesn't drive you bonkers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's a conflict, isn't it? Yeah. So is it manageable or solvable? How many people think solvable? You're thinking you can terminate? I know these guys already. Everybody listen.
Because if the person is not ambitious, I mean, you can't pull for somebody something that they don't want, right?
Right.
So if a person doesn't want to drive a BMW, you can't pull for him a BMW because he doesn't care about it.
Right. And that comes back to motivation. And remember, we're going to talk about how to motivate, because remember, motivating is very important. So you're saying it's solvable by talking to the person, finding out what they want.
Right. And also at that point, you decide whether you can have some incentives for that person, either I don't know, extra comp time, or is it salary increase if they step up to their work.
Okay, now listen to what Love's saying, and these are all good things, and these are things we're going to be talking about over the course of the next couple of days. But I think what I'm hearing is that we're managing this. We're managing this. We're not solving it. This is never going to go away. We're always going to have to think of incentives to keep that person working and give that person pride in what they're doing. It's just not all of a sudden, that person is all of a sudden going to think the way Paul thinks. Wow, I love my job, and I'm proud of what we're doing and everything else.
I think that everybody would be the difference between the person who's not need to be motivated. Everybody.
Oh, no question about that, and we're not. I absolutely agree, and I think everybody agrees that everybody needs to be motivated, even the supervisors and the managers. Yeah, nothing's free. Nothing's free. But the conflict itself, where somebody thinks one thing as far as a goal and somebody else has a second goal, usually when we have different goals, it's really something we can work with, but we have to manage it. We can't solve it. Let's go to the last one and see how we feel on that one. The last one is a values goal. Values goal. And Lev, by the way, a motivation, I'm going to count on you to give some good ideas when we get there, because I can see you've already been thinking about this.